Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the show. Just setting up, waiting for my host to get here. Well, you just have to be a little patient. Sorry about that. Slowly working on it, guys. Give me a sec. I'm gonna share the lives. Wait for everybody to come on. Welcome, everybody. I can't see who's on there right now. Great to have you here. Tonight's going to be open topic. We want to hit the likes, the shares. We also want to throw up any gifts that you want to. It helps for what I have to do. So if you could, that'd be wonderful. Thank you, Candace. I'm gonna invite you. Who else? Make sure we share.
What's up, everyone?
This should be a pretty good night. Hopefully, it's about open topic. So whatever topic you want to talk about, we can talk about it. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Would be great.
Yeah,
waiting in there for the Idaho potato.
No, actually, I'm watching.
Waiting for Katrina. I don't hear anybody talking, so I don't know if my mic is low or something.
It's working. It's working.
I had my volume down. I couldn't hear nothing.
Turn it up.
Just turn it up. Turn it up. Let's get this going. I forgot how many hours I said this was for.
I've been up since 5.
Them hearts, so.
I've been up since 5. I shared light. Welcome in, Rowan.
Why did I put hearts? I said donuts, you stupid thing. This thing didn't listen very well.
Dorinda, welcome in, Nightbird. I couldn't find you on my screen there, sugar.
Hello, welcome. I'm just going to continue sharing as much people as we can. I don't care what we talk about, just as long as it's not about any weird, crazy, weird stuff that we can't say on TikTok or any politics, because I don't want to listen to that crap. I'm really not. Everything else is pretty much on the table. Just watch the wording, what you say, what you do, because we don't want to get in trouble by the overlords of TikTok here. So I'm not in the mood for them either, because I'll probably tell them where to go at this point.
Nightbird just shared it for your bed.
We're gonna take. We might take people as guests. Not sure yet. It all depends.
Been sharing out, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. want to
Thank you for
share,
inviting me.
and tap, tap, tap. And we just gotta watch who we bring up in the boxes. You heard what happened in the last meeting. We don't want to have a repeat of that. Hello, beautiful people.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Nightbird. Hello, Dorinda. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Me and my mom had a beautiful day today. We went to Lagu-
Am I still
Laguna
here?
Beach.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, we went to Laguna Beach to the Beachcomber. It's a little restaurant right on the beach, and it was freaking fabulous. And the water, I mean, the water is right there. You don't have to walk far at all. It's freaking bitching. I love it.
No,
So anyway,
I
the other
found this
night,
one. I thought it'd be pretty cool. Put myself in a
yeah,
little serpent.
yeah, you should come out. I live in Corona,
Uh-uh.
California.
Oh, you never know. Things might change very drastically.
Where do you live again?
I live in VA.
Oh, okay, right on.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Friday night,
eventually I was going to be there in California.
what's that?
We're all
What
going
else?
to eventually be in California. We all just working towards the goal.
I'm coming out soon.
Friday night, I went to a meditation, a breathing meditation, a breath. I think it was a breathing meditation, but anyway, I had a connection with Thoth a little bit, but then I was like, "Well, wait a minute, it's a class. I can't disturb the class."
Yeah, right.
It was freaking awesome. It was the first time I actually felt him. It was it was it was awesome. Oh my god, it was awesome.
I've had tons of weird things happen. Like last week, it's been really cool. You know, can't say
Yeah,
why, but it's been cool.
yeah,
Life has been awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
yeah. Really have. I only have 20% left on my phone. So I gotta plug it in soon.
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoops. Did you see what I put? Hashtag
What'd you put?
DYP. DYP.
Oh,
What does DYP mean?
Well, I went to put FYP one day and I put FUP.
oh no.
FY, FYP. We F you a page.
Right?
But I was like, oops. I
That
can't.
was funny. I can't see, guys. I can't see.
You know, that day I was tired as hell when I did that.
You have to open your eyes.
Right?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Or close your eyes. Third eye see.
I'm looking for Laguna Beach.
Oh,
Where's
okay.
it close to?
Over 80 shares out?
Huntington Beach or
Okay, yeah, never mind. Oh, I've been to Huntington Beach so many freaking times.
right.
I was just trying to place where you were because I'm going to be going out there soon, and that's going to be far away.
Oh, you need to
I'm going to
go
be in,
to
in
Crystal Cove.
Sacramento.
Oh,
And
so
I lived out there in Huntington Beach from December 2019 to 2000, end of 2021. And then I was in Anaheim. And then Garden Grove.
Wow.
I like BJ's
It was really
restaurant.
chilly, but it's not anymore.
I mean, I can leave it on.
No, I'm getting a little toasty.
Want to turn this on?
No.
Turn that one on?
Yes, that would be fine.
You have to check out Crystal Cove in Laguna Beach.
Okay.
I'm wanting to go to California
I'm gonna
sometime.
be in Sacramento.
Be
I know that.
available in just a couple minutes, guys. I got to run into the store and I'll be right back.
Right on. Be careful.
Okay, just letting you know in case you call on me.
Yeah, let's go for something. It's a free for all.
Hey, Epsilon, I have a question. How do I view old videos on Rory's page?
Jennifer, you would have to contact Rory. You have Facebook?
No, I deleted it. Well, no, actually I do on my computer.
Go on Facebook, and one of us will send you a link.
Okay.
Go through that
Actually,
way, because the link is not public.
oh, okay. I think I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Well, if you are, then ask him. He will contact you.
Okay, super. Right on.
Yeah, because there's certain elements we can't discuss.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna go in the house and plug my phone in, and I'll be right back.
No problem.
Doggone it, should make me look at Huntington Beach now. Long Beach isn't that far away. Actually, the last time I went to the beach, they had an air show, and right after the air show, they had the oil spill, and I was still on the beach sitting there as they were yelling for everybody to get out of the water. That was fun.
I don't think I've ever been there.
It's where everybody goes and surfs for. That's a big place where they have the what you call them? My brain. Not surfing my brain, but. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now because I'm slap happy.
If we want to do a topic, we can talk about dreams. Dreams, manifestations, whatever you like. Anything that I had on the previous shows. If that helps anybody. You just find one, and we'll go from there. Why is this not doing this? This stupid Facebook.
Can't stay on long.
Why can't you stay on long?
It'll be nasty weather tomorrow.
Well, that's not good.
Yep, it's supposed to rain all. Yeah. Thank you for coming, Mel.
Yes, thank you for coming. Enjoy the live. Still waiting on people here. Apparently we have to have a topic for people to talk.
Usually it's pretty busy in here, but I think we're all like way past exhausted. Trina's in there.
All right, I just put my headphones on, so now I can hear.
How did I start my awakening process? Or you were awakening lack of a better word. The awakening process. Well, there's many awakenings. You have to specify on that one. But on the first one, That was my first awakening. I think when I was a kid. um I when I was saved in a fire, when I was like 6 years old, I was dreaming. I just got done watching a Godzilla movie and I had went to sleep. So I was watching Godzilla and as I went to sleep, I had a dream that Godzilla was burning down the whole city. So I started burning, and I woke up. Now, me being a little kid, I was scared as hell. Um, I woke up, I seen my whole building on fire, and I thought Godzilla was burning down my house, the apartment I was in. But lo and behold, what had happened was the fire was all over the place, and I seen a spiritual being in front of me, and it came to me. It was all pure light. I couldn't recognize it, but I knew it was friendly, and it was humanoid. I could feel that. It was totally different than you'd ever expect. And she said, "Don't be." She says, "I'm here. Don't be afraid." I said, "Okay." And then she cradled me in her arms, and because I looked around and there was dark beings scanning across the wall. It could have been my imagination by the flames flickering, but but again, I swear I seen shadows with red eyes going across the walls and ceilings, like you see in something like uh Final Destination or something. It was kind of like that, and I was held up in her arms. I could feel the warmth of her energy and the protection, and the fire the fireman busted through the wall like the Kool-Aid man with a battle axe. It looked like he came through the wall, and he went and saved me, picked me up, and carried me out. I had peed my pants. He picked me up. It was cold out, and he carried me out. He put me near the ambulance to see if I was all right, and I was like, as he's picking me up and carrying me out, I'm like, save the woman, save the woman. He goes, boy, son, there's nobody in there. I'm like, yes, there is. There's somebody in there. Save the woman. She sat there and she helped me. And I sat by the ambulance, as they looked me over, and the guy goes, I didn't see anybody in there. I said, go check. And I was adamant about it. So, at that point, I had, the fireman went in there and looked around. He goes, son, we just looked in there again. There's nobody there. And then I knew right then and there was much more out there in the universe, because if they didn't see it, I did. It was come to find out my dad had nailed the windows shut and tried to burn me alive with my mother. And it wasn't very cool, and it was just, something that happened, and I come to realize, there's more out in the universe than that altogether. And that was the first one of the first awakenings I had. That awoke me up to the spiritual world, and since then, I started having spiritual things happen. That's how mine started, anyway. How about anybody else? Yeah, that was just the start of my pain. Don't worry. There's more. Every time I've had pain or something happens, it was another awakening, and it was another step to, I guess, my growth in the spiritual world. I mean, my life is, you might as well say it would be like a horror flick, a combination of um, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just a freaking horror show. If I would, if I was ever to have write a book, it'd probably be the size of the Bible of all the things I had and the things that happened to me. My whole life story would probably be a 1,000-page novel or more. How about anybody else? And can we get some work on these donuts here? If you wouldn't mind, do some more sharing. It is open topic night. In the shares and the likes, and yeah, the pain increases us, I think, to be a better person. And when we go through that pain, it empowers us to be a greater individual than when we started. And I've realized that everything that I went through in my life is going to help me help somebody else. Because if it wasn't for me getting that in my life, that no one else probably wouldn't have been able to handle it like me, you know. And there was probably a bunch of people maybe weaker. Yes, in a minute we'll go to you next, if that'd be okay. And you know, I thought, well, it made me a better person. And you know, there is a bunch of people here that all had their hard lives, but a lot of people just, it gets hard for it gets hard to help others when, you know, they don't want to help. And that's why I try to plant the seed. But we're going to move on down the line to Candace first. Thank you for the donut, by the way. The likes and the shares, please do that. Candace?
Hi, Epsilon and everyone. I my first knowing of an awakening was when being a young child and going through the health issues that I had, and not understanding actually what was happening in my life. I had what people would call an invisible friend, and there were times where that was the only friend that I had, even through school. I was always picked on in school because of my hand. My twin sister and I were always picked on, but I always knew there was something better for me, and that I had to just keep going, if that makes any sense. Um, my mother did all she could, but you know, when you go through so much, and I would say diversity, you know, and trying to find out who you are, you just stop learning. And so there was a part of, you know, that I stopped learning what was being shown to me. And it took, oh, people were like, they label you crazy or whatever, and they give you all kinds of meds and say you're depressed and none of that, right? And so, I knew there was something else to this awakening that people call it. For me, it was a spiritual flux. I still couldn't find my place in this world, and it wasn't with, how can I say this? Because this is TikTok.
Right.
It, um, basically, for me, and this is my personal journey, that not only did I arrive to a point in my life when I met David, that was there was a comment that he made on when we had our oldest son born. Didn't you know I was a star seed? And I was like, what? And that became my awareness of what was happening for us. So, so you know, we learned together. We focused 100% of our our love for each other and our love for our children and love for other people. Because David would give the shirt off his back. I would like my last dollar, to help someone. But now with the death of my husband, this is another spiritual awakening for me. It's to find out because I've never took care of Candace. Does that make sense? There, not once in the 60 years I've been alive have I actually taken care of Candace. I always wanted to take care of other people. And now I'm finding out, hey, there's something to Candace that Candace needs to figure out. What happened to start you feeling like you have to help the world and not you? So I'm getting to that point. I, I, let me put it this, if I say that, they're going to get mad. Uh, for me, and this is just my journey, for me, I try not to overstep what my guides are telling me because usually, and this is the truth, usually I don't want to listen to them because, because I want to do my own thing. And they're like, no, you can't do that anymore. If your guides are telling you, my guides are telling me, hey, Candace, let's do it a different way. Let me show you how you can meditate easier. Because meditation for me doesn't shut off. I mean, my brain doesn't shut off. So when I meditate, it's like I have to totally shut down my whole body and pay attention. And that's what I've been learning the last 2.5 years. So I'm starting to pay attention. So I see more than people think, and I understand a lot more. And I appreciate you, Epsilon. There's a secret. It's not a secret. There is a known fact that a statement made a long time ago by a wise philosopher. You can only heal yourself, your little corner of the world, and not everybody else. Okay?
Exactly. I grew up with bullying in school. You know, I always tried to be, the peaceful person. But when I grew up, I also, so I understand the whole bullying thing. I got bullied because it wasn't even nothing I did. Honestly, it was just because I lived in a foster home and they gave me Dickies and Top Gun shoes. I'd go to school and I'd get beat up for it all the time and called
Here's
names.
here's a point that also is made for people that going through their life when you do shadow work, and there's and a mirror is a beautiful thing because you can sit in front of that mirror and focus on your past traumas, or focus on something that you have not dealt with in your life and sit there and go, now why in the Sam Biscuit am I talking to you about something that happened 35 years ago? And you just have a full-fledged conversation. Let me tell you something that has also helped me along this journey. My
Yeah.
husband said one time that, and I used him as an example because we were so close, that not only am I able to overcome a lot, and I've overcome a lot, not only am I able to overcome cancer just by the words somebody else said, everything can happen as long as you believe it can. Believe in
Then
yourself.
and it's all about believing yourself because after I got that happened in school, I believed that I was more grown up than all of the kids around me. So I went
You
to
are.
Department of Social Services and I told them, I said, I'm gonna run away. I'm gonna keep running away and you think I'm playing. Just try me one time. Try me one time, see what's gonna happen. See if you'll ever find me. So what they did is they went to the foster home. They took the clothing check from the foster parent. I went and bought way more better clothes, and budgeted, got 4 times as much clothes. And I looked like I was GQ. It was great. I had Nike shoes, I had nice Levi jeans, nice shirts, went to school, shaved my head. I went into football, it empowered me. And then when somebody came up, one of them bullies came up to me the first day in that school year, he hit me with a paper wasp, and I just probably shouldn't have done it. But you know what? Sometimes you have to strike out. And I struck out. Was it bad for me to do? Yeah. But and then in turn, after I did that, do you know what? They stopped because they knew I wasn't going to tolerate it. And then after that, I was so empowered by the bravery that I had that I stood up for myself against the foster parents. I stood up against the Department of Social Services. They actually changed the law for that now. And that is one change that I'm happy about because back in the day, only the foster parents had control of your money. But if you feel that you're old enough, they'll give you that right. And that's what empowered me to be stronger. That was my first empowerment right there when I knew if my voice has a word, has meaning, and I felt empowered by that. When you finally speak up and something like that changes and you alter a law and something like that, you feel empowered. You know that you might think that you're one voice out of many, but
Right.
think about it. I was
I'm
just
gonna
one voice and I changed it.
I'm gonna leave you with one sentence that I put down in the chat that I've been living by for the last 20 plus years. Faith can move mountains.
Oh yeah.
By your faith. That doesn't mean you have to run to a building that's called a church or whatever. I mean, live by your faith. Trust your self worth, man. Because that's what.
Everything. I also look at it like this. It's funny you brought that up. I look at it like this also. It's fine to have your spirituality. Go to church, read the Satan Bible, whatever, read whatever. But if you feel that empowers you, and you feel that's what you need to do to empower yourself and be the person you want to be, then I guess that's what you're gonna do. If you want to take the path of bad, then take the path of bad. Whatever empowers you, eventually you'll most likely come to realize this isn't for me, and I have to move on to something better.
I have a question for someone who is having upper GI pain right now in your belly, right below your breastbone, in the middle of your belly. Anybody having pain in the belly? I can't picture who. Somebody is.
Diane. Someone cracked a rib.
Cracked your rib? Really? Ugh.
My hair on the right side.
Not well. My gosh. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna mute so I can take care of this.
Okay, I'm gonna hand it down to Dorinda. Or not. Or let's go to Honey. Oh, she's here.
I'm here. And I kind of heard what was said, but I guess I didn't know the topic because I just got in here.
Well, it's kind of an open topic, but someone brought up saying, when was your first awakening?
Oh, my first awakening.
When it all changed for you?
Wow. I think my first awakening was I was a child and I saw things flying in the sky, and I saw it and knew what I saw, and I stood out it was winter, I must have been 5. Lived on a small hobby farm. Went to tell my grandma and my mom, and of course I was not believed, and they were very religious, so probably scared I was seeing demons or something, who knows, but yeah, I guess I was like 5, and I remember being out in the snow and seeing that and feeling safe and loved, like I had a special friend at that age, like I didn't have to fear anything, no boogeyman under my bed or in my closet. I didn't feel I had to be afraid of anything, so felt the love of something bigger than me. So, I mean, after that, what's that?
I said, I love you. You're so awesome. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, that's it's nothing really big and spectacular, but I guess that's when the doors first started. I was even younger. And I remember my aunt being angry with me because I had a friend that I always talked to, an imaginary friend, and she was mad at me and said I shouldn't be talking to myself, and people are going to think I'm weird, and I tried to explain, but they're really there. See? And it's like, well, we don't see anybody. And I'm kind of looking like, why aren't you, But I was young, and I remember the only way I could, hide that I was talking to one of my guides was that I was playing Barbies, and the Barbies were talking. And I remember being down against, in between the wall and the bed, and had my Barbies there, but it really was my guides that I was talking to. But I was younger than 5 at that time. But I remember her just being so mean to me and made me feel so... I cried because I didn't understand, It's like, I know they're there, but then that's when I realized they didn't see them either. So, then I had to hide, and then I was afraid, and then again I was shut down at 5. So each time something happened as a young child, I was shut down, and as I sit here and think about it, it's like, gee, that's when I started to be the black sheep of the family too.
That's funny that you said
I
that.
knew it. I knew it.
Oh, go ahead.
It's funny that you said that when you talked about talking to your dolls. I used to talk to my G.I. Joes and my He-Man figures, my Transformers, because I didn't want anybody to think I was crazy, so I was talking to them.
Yup.
It's funny. I thought that was very creative, actually. I thought I was the only one that did that.
And then when as an adult, because then, it was always Christianity. I mean, it was so polar opposite. One side of my family was Baptist, and the other side was Jehovah's Witness. So if that's not polar opposite, I don't know what is, and you get caught in between that. So I went in between those through the years, and I never fit. I never fit in anywhere. And I remember the day that I decided I'm no longer going to go here anymore. I'm no longer doing this, and I left. And I actually, and I'll share this, I never ever publicly shared why I got disfellowshipped from the Jehovah's Witness. It was because I celebrated Christmas. And they saw my tree or something from the road, and they cornered me at work one day. Two of they called them elders in the congregation, met me at my car door and said that if I didn't come and talk to, and I was a single parent at the time too, so I was pretty wigged out. Two men coming to me, at my car door, at my car as I'm leaving work, telling me if I don't come and talk to them that on Thursday night I would be disfellowshipped. Well, you know what? I don't care. I'm not, I didn't go back. And then thereafter, I was on my journey to find out what was real. I was so tired of being lied to, all my life. Nothing ever made sense. Nothing. It's like, there was stuff that made sense, but when you got polar opposites like that, I was like back and forth. And so I just went on a journey of research, and I started out with Wayne Dyer. That's kind of, I think I needed to start there because of the Christianity it kind of eased me into, because I think if there would have been anything with magic or anything, I probably, but I explored the Tao and Mormon religion. I went through them all. And I studied, I literally went into it. And then I became a solitary witch. I did some black magic for a while. And now I just work in the space of love. And I don't think I've ever been happier in my life than I am right here in this moment, in this space. Because now I am the black sheep of the family, but I've got all you. And it means more to me than, family doesn't have to be blood. That's for doggone sure. And I've experienced more love now in probably the last 3 months than I have in a lifetime of my family. And I'm not judged or, ridiculed for some weird ass shit that comes out of my mouth sometimes.
I get that.
No kidding. No kidding.
I asked the universe
I love it.
I asked the universe for one thing or two things. I said, I want someone to love me for who I am, and I wanted a family. I got them both. So it took me 40 years to answer my damn question, but hey, at least it worked.
I'm just having a real hard time hearing you, Epsilon. I don't know why. I hear everybody else, but I'm struggling hearing you. So
I don't know. How about now?
yeah, now you're good. And what did you say? I apologize.
Oh no, I said, I asked him when I was 12 years old, and I was visited by Aphrodite. I said, I just want someone to love me for who I am. And that happened, and then I asked for a family. I got that too, so I'm complete. I got everything I want. I don't need material things. I could give a shit. I don't give a fuck about that. I give more F's about, the family, and who I'm with, and who I care for. This is just material items. If I'm using them, then fine. If not, if people want these items, I think because I don't think that it's material. I'm not going to base my life on a material item. I base myself on the relationships I have with people. And once people break that trust and bond with you and demand things, then that in turn affects who you are as an individual. And you start to question, you say you're going to do something, and then you figure, that people take things the wrong way and all that. So I'm happy I got the family that I've always wanted. I'm happy I got someone I love and care for. And I'm glad the universe finally gave it to me. It took 40 years, but hey, at least it works, And that's why I'm saying that whatever you manifest and you power and you think of yourself and help yourself and empower yourself, then you can truly be and truly excel in what you are. And is everybody off?
No, I'm here.
Oh, great.
All right.
I think Dorinda, I think her service was going down. It was in the red.
Okay. You know.
Well, I guess it's my turn. I
Yeah.
don't have anything nearly that dramatic.
Okay.
When I was 7, I was extremely ill with fevers 107 and 108. I had a fungal lung infection and pneumonia. And I saw the angels and heard people speaking to me. And then during one of the procedures, evidently, I lost contact with this world for a little while and saw the universe. And I never forgot that when I came back. And it seemed like I was very, very different since then. I mean, we were living at the edge of a forest, growing up, to me, in a magical way. Very, very poor, but we didn't really understand that as kids. We thought we were, having a grand time. We got to live in the forest and eat out of the garden and stuff. But as I got older, we're growing up in the 60s and seeing all the disparity and living within that. Where I lived there in Arkansas, I became an activist at a very young age, and I read all the time. And I loved reading about the fantasy, the dragons and the magic and all of that. And I read all of the religions, and I just got into all of it, even though we were Lutheran, and I grew up in the Lutheran church. Anytime I went to church with anybody else, it sounded very harsh to me and very untrue. And I just grew up seeing people who said they went to church and said they were Christians, but they sure didn't act like them to me. And I began to question a lot of things. I drove my poor pastor nuts. I mean, nuts for 3 years, asking so many questions. And I just, I went ahead and kept my kids in church. They were the people I grew up with, the people my parents were all friends with. And I told them, this is your basis, but never stop asking. I mean, this is not the absolute truth, and we know it. And eventually, I even stopped going because I realized that what I was doing was more ritualistic, and it was because I didn't want to let go of the tradition more than anything else. But I just learned so many things, and I just became so in tune with animals and the land and the growing. And that's when I got herbal, and I realized I could heal. And I turned immediately to nursing. And once I became a nurse at about 22, I thought, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be. And that's where I've been. And I've just been on a spiritual journey ever since then. And it's only been the last 10 years that I've really ramped it up, I think, and really started coming into some of my gifts or talents, I should say, and really finding a lot of joy in mostly finding people like you guys and talking about it and not feeling like a weirdo. Because the people at work, they loved me and they wanted to be around me. They didn't know why they wanted to be around me, but it was because I was very calming. I did have a healing effect on people around me, and they would line up for back rubs and whatever all day long, and they called me the hippie chick, is what they always called me. And I just was okay with that. I mean, if I'm a hippie, that's okay with me. But the healing, the herbal, the natural, that's always been what I wanted to do. All the natural things. And I know that God is many things to many people. And just because one believes one certain way doesn't necessarily mean that's wrong. It means you believe in a different way. But as long as you have Christ in your heart, the Christ consciousness, which is not Jesus, it's Christ consciousness. As long as that is in your heart and you see God in each and every person that you look at, then that's the way we need to be going.
Exactly, because I was all for the church thing too. I wanted to be a minister, and I actually got a degree for that. But and then when I started, I went to church for so long. I was baptized. I did all that. I started teaching kids. We called them rural ambassadors because I was Baptist. And I started to question things. The more I started reading about the Bible, I started making questions. And every time I made a question, I found it real funny that they would just breeze over it and go, or say something like that. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're supposed to be the pastor. You're supposed to be interpreting this for me. And you're not telling me anything? Really? Then I started going to other religions. And I'm like, okay, well, what about this question here? What does this mean? And again, what did I get? Some lame, pee-poor excuse, some pathetic, lame reasoning, or it's the Satan entered your mind and he's making you question that. How much? And I'm told when I read a Bible verse, I'm supposed to break it down verse by verse. Now, it's pretty damn obvious to me when I read this one verse, and I'm still going to be at it to this day. When the Bible says, and when God created man, He made him in our likeness and our image.
Yes.
Right there it tells you, plain and simple, plain as day. And then you look through the Bible and you find different verses, and it's almost like most of the religions, they cherry pick what they want to believe and what they want to take out. If you're going to have a religion and or spirituality and you're going to believe part of that, if you're going to believe in the Bible, you're going to believe in something, then I think that you should actually read the Bible and go through it. Not sit there and harp on one verse and one part of the Bible. Because I went to one church and they sat there, I swear all they talked about was James. All they talked about was the book of James or Exodus or something like that. And I'm like, there's other books in the Bible, read them. You got Ephesians, you got Corinthians, you've got all the other ones. But it's always seemed that they always stayed around the same topics. And, when you're trying to learn something and learn the Bible, they only go around the books that fit the narrative or the agenda they're trying to push. That's why I've never been one into religion. They want to push the agenda of it. There's always an underlying tone, I guess you want to say, that when you can go to some churches, you can feel the energy, you can feel the power in that. But in some churches, you go in and you can feel the people going, oh my God, this again, And it really frustrated and infuriated me when I read the Bible, I got an interpretation, and then these so-called pastors of all these religions and ministers and this and that, but yet they couldn't even give me a profound, logical answer of what I'm asking, and they got a degree on it. And then I thought to myself, Jesus didn't go to college. Jesus was taught by the world and God. What makes everybody else so freaking special that they have to go to some damn school to preach the lightness and the light word of the source or God or or creator or whatever? Nothing. That's why I don't really. I mean, it's cool if people have their religion and they just want to believe that one part. But for me, no. And I agree, with a lot of things. But there's a lot of things in question. You can go to every religion. I almost call them stupid religions. Every religion, they all have one fault here, one. Not everyone's perfect. I get that. And they all, seem to like to want to push an agenda. And it makes the people. And I guess it bugs me too, because they push this agenda, and it's almost like they're pushing the agenda to fit the narrative of the governments and stuff. And it's really annoying to me that how is it I can sit on one live online and learn more information than reading some book by some pastor out in La La Land somewhere. I don't know, but
I was about 12 when I read about Constantine and figured out that, one person chose all the books of the Bible. And I asked about that. And of course, a lot of times when I ask about things, and that I would say, well, that doesn't make any sense, and that contradicts that, and they would say, but we live by faith. Okay. So then when I asked about Constantine, they said, well, it was God directed. God showed him which books to choose. And I thought, okay, I'm done with that. That's not okay. This is not okay, because the books he chose were chosen for political reasons. And it's extremely obvious to anyone who's reading through history. And even if you haven't gotten to the time where we are now, where we have channels who are channeling the ascended masters and the angels who are telling us how it really was and is. Even if you hadn't gotten to this point now in time, it would still be extremely obvious that those books were not chosen by God. And God even said that the Bible, that the words would be changed and he would not do anything about it. But if you read the Old Testament, it's almost like a completely different God. It's not a God that I want to be friends with. And so then we find out that that's not the true God anyway. That Yeshua came to teach us that that God was not the real God, that we were worshiping the wrong God. And then they took everything he said and twisted it around and deified him. And, you know,
It's
Jesus.
just like I said. Remember that Bible verse I just said?
Yeah.
Make God in, he goes, let us make men in our image and in our likeness.
Well, there are two creation stories in Genesis, just a few verses apart, you know, where it talks about it being this way and then it talks about it being that way. And that was always confusing to me. I couldn't figure it out. And then I couldn't figure out why he would be so cruel. Why would he be so cruel?
Exactly. Because right when, and if you look at back in Moses, when he comes down with the 10 Commandments. Now, if there was only one God on the planet, so per se, you got the 10 Commandments. And what was one of the commandments God had written down? Anybody?
Yeah.
Thou shalt not worship no other God.
Right.
No, if there was just him, why would he say that?
Right. Right.
Exactly.
And there were.
I agree with Honey that I just don't see a loving being being cruel and mean, you know, and that's what they try to scare everybody, and that's just wrong.
Because, yeah, exactly. And that right there tells you, in the back of Revelation, it says, do not add or take away from this Bible. Whoever does it shall suffer something such, such and such.
Well, the last changes to the Bible, I believe, were in like the late 40s, 50s, early 50s, and they've been changing it all along, and, you know, nobody seems to care. But the words of Yeshua have some value, and I think if we took anything out of the Bible, the Beatitudes would be the one thing that I would take. You know, because it talks about loving one another. It talks about seeing God in each and every one of us, making your neighbor your friend, you know, and the foreigner is welcome in every corner of the world. And that's not how we live.
And the funniest part of all of it was when I went to a pastor and I said, an angel came to me and told me this. You know what the pastor told me? What do you think the pastor told me? Anybody?
You made it up.
Probably you had a demon in you.
Yeah. It was a demon. I was being deceived because they told me the truth about the Bible, and what they were saying was crap.
Well, I know the youth group spent all their time at our house. You know, we had 20, 25 kids at our house at any given time, all the time. And they would come to me and ask me about things they didn't understand, and we would talk about it. But I'll never forget when the youth minister told our kids that their friend from school, who was killed in a motorcycle accident was going to hell because he didn't go to church. And
Oh my
all
God.
those kids showed up at my house in tears, and we all sat down for a couple hours and all discussed it and talked about it. And I just thought that is the most cruel thing I think I've ever heard. And I did speak with her about that. I
That's
found it to be very disturbing.
I find that disturbing because it's not. We are humans. We are not to judge anybody. I don't care if you're spiritual or not. We're not allowed to judge anybody. The universe judges, the source judges, whoever is up there isn't, it's their judge. They can judge themselves for that matter. They eventually will. And the hell that they live in is the hell that they make it. So it's not for any of us to say who's going where. How do we know? And first off, and another one is, our child will not go to hell.
Right.
Right. I think one of the common denominators that I always looked for in each religion that I explored was that of love, because that is the out of all of them, they talk about love. That was the common denominator. But at the end of the day, what the heck did they think love was? I mean, seriously, scaring the gajillions out of kids and, and I guess if we were to look at each religion, are they practicing that love? And that's what upset me the most, I think, is that jeepers creepers, give people a little grace, and I never found that for me. But if you can go to a space or a religion or an organization and find real love, unconditional love, and accepted for who you are, then you probably found the place that you're supposed to be,
It's always about what you have and what you can give them.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And, I've been reading
reading
literature about the churches. If the churches, we have churches everywhere, all over the country. If they took in one homeless child, there would be no homeless children. If, they would take in one or two homeless military folks, there would be no homeless. If they would just spend their money taking care of people rather than attracting more members so their pastors can have these giant homes and planes and jets and all the whatevers, or worrying about politics, putting their money into politics, we wouldn't have any problems. We wouldn't have kids starving in our own country. We wouldn't have homeless vets laying all over the concrete. I mean, I don't see why people cannot see that the problem is us.
You know what the most pathetic thing in this freaking point in the United States is? I don't care. Let them. I don't care whatever they have to say to me anymore. The most pathetic thing that I think about this damn United States is you have 167 men, not women. You have 1,662 million men. Altogether, that's about 446 million people. And what are they spending on these effing rockets that go absolutely nowhere? These stupid generators that are doing absolutely nothing. A nuclear bomb that they're never going to have let off and shoot off. Oh no. If they took $1 million and gave it to every single person, there you go. Nothing would be the same. It would all be different. Instead, they want to hoard their money, build stupid things that we don't need instead of help the people. If you gave $1 million to one person, and at today's prices, how much do you think that they're going to live? How far do you think it's going to happen?
Well, I know that $1 million is not enough now to retire on for two people to live the same lifestyle that they're accustomed to living at this point, which is why we ended up working a little bit longer than what we had hoped to do. With the prices the way they are, if you had $1 million saved up, you could probably live a relatively simple life with if you already had a house and you say you already had a vehicle, You could do that until you're about 95 or 99 if you're not crazy with your money.
Exactly. If they gave you $1 million, okay. Now, if you think about today's prices, if you're renting a house, you're probably paying maybe $1,000 a month. That's $10,000 a year. That's for just $1,000 rent. And if you take that plus your car and all that, you could live for at least, I think, 20 years or so. Just by that. And if you already had a house or something,
it would be longer, yeah, because you wouldn't be paying rent. But the property taxes and those kind of things all still keep going up. They don't do something about the food prices and the way they're gouging us. You know, it's not inflation any longer when they're making the record profits that they make.
And it's pretty pathetic. You got people in the United States living under $1,000 a month.
Right.
What do you think about it? Well, I'm going to give you $879 and $23 in food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to live?
Well,
My husband just, I was just going to share real quick, honey, that my husband just took some numbers from the Great Depression and the time that we live in right now and did the ratio between wages and food prices, housing, gas, and did that with the Great Depression. And we are worse right now with his calculations, he's a numbers man, than the Great Depression right now.
Yeah, we are.
That people have done, and yes, we are 10 times worse off. And then we have generations of decline in IQ in certain parts of our country because of poor nutrition as children. Over the years, it has created a decline in the collective IQ of the people living in those states.
And it's the same thing with China. If you look at China, China's in serious trouble because they put that stupid law in that country that they can only have 1 or 2 kids. For so long they put that damn law on, they screwed themselves, if you think about it, because at the end of the day, all that's left over there is the older generation. That's all they got. Once that generation's gone, they're screwed.
Yeah.
And they're all in their 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. They have no more younger generation. And that whole generation of men and women in there, all they are is military. They have no building in there. There's nothing. They're gonna collapse, obviously. And that's what the U.S. is doing. That stupid crap. They're trying to do the same thing. But this time they're not saying it as a law. What they're doing is they want you to be poor so they can control. And
then they're taking care of our rights as well. They're going to take away the rights and make us have kids. That's what they said out loud. So we can have more workers. We need more workers. So we're going to make women have babies, whether they can afford it or not.
And that's the thing. That's going to be a thing too, because if you think about it, the United States has gone down in population because nobody's having kids anymore.
You can't afford it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they can't afford it. You know how much it is when I had my son back in 2008? How much it cost to raise him for the first year of him being born until the first year of his life. Formula and all that. You know how much it cost me? $45,000 for the first year of a child's life.
Wow.
With diapers, the hospital bills, the doctor's appointments, the formula, $45,000 for the first year. That's just normal. Some people went higher. That's if you buy the Richie stuff, the powder and all that stuff. But yeah, okay, I was like $45,000 the first year he's born, and they think, "Whoa, you can have more kids." Okay.
Well, I'm looking forward to Archangel Michael is promising. He's telling us that it's all gonna collapse. Our monetary system is going to go down, and we're going to end up with a universal income, and AI is going to take care of all the crappy little jobs we don't want to do. And we're going to be able to go out and live in joy the way we were created to do. And if you want to make extra money, you can do something that makes you happy, that gets you extra money. But mostly it'll be bartering, doing things for one another, collective gardening, that sort of thing. And it will be, heaven on earth. I believe that.
I believe it too, but it's not coming fast enough.
I know you're impatient, Hopi. I know you are.
I want peace now. I want love now. I know we all do. We all do. I just want it so bad,
This is the generation that's going to bring us that. This is the one that we've been waiting for eons. Is this generation is going to bring us to absolute peace. I believe that with my whole heart.
All I have to say, Hopi, is you've seen what happened today, what the accomplishments were. Anybody can do that. It's how you take the step and how you work it.
Exactly. And you know what? I agree with you, honey. It's coming. And I know beautiful things are happening. So I'm looking at, like, today, like, a couple little things that we all know about, like those two little things today made my day, like, they were my smile today, and I was like, I've been happy ever since, I really have, like, I'm overjoyed.
It's meant to inspire people.
Pictures from the stars too, didn't you?
Yes, that's why I was late. I was gonna share with you guys. I got Yes You Are did my orb pictures for me tonight. So I got a whole bunch of those. I gotta go through them, but I'll share those at another time. They came out really good too. They're cool.
Yeah, they were cool. I enjoyed it.
One of them looked like a cat. Were you there? Yeah, he did more of them later, and one of them looked just like a beautiful big white fluffy cat.
Hey, that sounds like you. I should have stayed. Okay, so I've monologued for a while. I'm going to let Pete Starr go for it.
We're going to go with Jennifer next. Can we have some more shares, some more likes, and maybe fill up the
Donuts.
Ah, damn it. Yeah. Jennifer, your turn.
All right. So, wow. So the awakening process, I guess.
Yeah.
When like Dorinda, I think it was Dorinda that shared that she had to play with her dolls in order to talk to her divine guides, and that's what I had to do, and or use her dolls. And one day I was about 15, and because I was always talking to the universe, to myself, to whoever was listening, that wasn't in my face, at like people, because even today I can't really talk to people the way I can just conversate with myself or my guides or whatever. But anyway, I was 15, and there was a big old family party, and I was in the closet, and I was talking to myself or my guides or whatever, and one of my cousins comes in, and the door was cracked, and he says, "Oh my gosh, are you talking to yourself?" I was like, "Oh no!" And he runs into the living room where everybody's at, all the family. "Hey, everybody, Jennifer's in the closet talking to herself." And I was like, I was so embarrassed. And for a few years after that, I kept asking my mom, "Mom, am I crazy?" Because I talked to myself, and she said, "No, you're not crazy. Everybody does it." And I'm thinking, well, probably everybody does do it. Maybe they don't talk out loud, but they're always thinking, so that's a form of talking. And but I am so vocal with it. When I was so after my child passed away, that's when uh I started noticing or got into the spirit world, and the spirits were just every freaking where, and I could feel them, I could see them, I could hear them, and um, so they were pretty strong for about 7 years, and then they tapered off a little bit, and I was like, well, wait a minute, where'd y'all go? And I kind of missed it, but then I was kind of like, thank God, and because it was a lot, and it was overwhelming, and we did have a guy that was a bad spirit, and uh, and so it took a while to get rid of him, but yeah, he was a trip. Uh, let's see. So yeah, and then it tapered off, and then I had a couple friends pass away, and then the spirits started getting stronger again. I was like, "Oh, hey, you're back," and it wasn't scary, to me. Um, and let's see. Gosh, there was so much I wanted to say that other people had said, and um, sugar. Let's see. La, 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 la. But yeah, let's see. Oh, the church thing. Oh my God. Yeah, I was in the Mormon church for I got in the Mormon church about 96, and I got out probably around 2013, 2014. And I didn't really follow the religion too much. I just liked the parts about Jesus and God, and because it was very basic. Because I only went to like sacrament or whatever, and they talked a little bit. Um, but then I went to like Bible study or something, and it was just super freaking basic. I mean, I didn't really feel like I learned anything. Um, but uh, actually, my true awakening is ever since I've been following Rory and Anouk and Mother Butterfly. My life has been really opening up, really expanding, and I could tell a difference from when I don't go on their when I don't participate in their quote unquote show, um, like for days or a week even. Sometimes I'll miss the program. I don't know what to call it other than show or program. What do you call it?
He calls it a show, but
Okay,
I
so
want to call it something else, but
you want to
we'll
call
go
it
with
what?
show. I was thinking of something else, but we'll go with show.
Okay. So, but yeah, I could really feel a difference in my elevation, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, when I don't watch it, and then when I do participate in it, I just feel just so much like wowness or just expansion of my soul, my spirit is just freaking awesome. Um, and I think that Rory and Anouk and Mother Butterfly, I think they are the biggest so far, that really helped me to understand and expand. It's a trip. I freaking love it. And all of you have just blown my mind. And I just learned so much from you guys. And I have like 4 friends that I grew up with that I'm still friends with, but they don't get me anymore. And that's fine, you know, because one of them is like, because I try and tell her about Anouk, and she's all about no, that's demon shit, and I'm like, no, it's not. And she says, if you come over here, I'm gonna, you know, we got to I'm not gonna let you bring that vibration or that
That
energy.
always got me with the Catholics, though. Go to the Father and say 5 Hail Marys. I ain't praying to Mary. I'm supposed to be praying to Jesus.
Right.
Wow. Where are you?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think the reason she doesn't get it is because she's always dealt with bad spirits. And I mean, she's never had good spirits with her. And yeah, I think that's why she's down on this channeling stuff. But I mean, that world, that channeling world is just so amazing to me. And it's like another plateau type deal or another.
Yeah. See, there is a lot of channelers. They all do things in a unique way. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we all do things. If we were all the same, then we'd be damn robots and we'd be boring and pathetic. Now, if you're going to be channeling, you know, you got a message that whoever it is that wants to tell you, you know, even though that some people might say, you know, discriminatory things, it's whatever. It's the way they interpret it. But when you look at it and you look at an individual, it's the reason why you don't believe it. It's either because there's something wrong with your in your heart, or you don't see the words, or you have an issue with yourself that you can't seem to realize that the message is in front of you. All you have to do is open your eyes. That is how
Right.
I've always looked at it. And you know, during our lives, we all learn, we all grow. And I think it's because a lot of people don't understand it. They get their ego. Oh, I'm better than you. I know everything. But at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's jealousy and ego. You know, because they can't stand the fact that, you know, some people think that you're better, that you might know more, or you know, I'm more deep into my spirituality than you. It's just in how all you are, you know. Like many people,
Right.
some people could channel Moses. Some people might channel the lady down the street, and they might say the lady down the street she's better than the guy that's doing Moses. It's because you don't
Right.
you've heard the lady down the street 100 times, but not this new guy that came up. I mean, it's on how you take it. And like yeah, like some people say, fear, judgment, jealousy, you know,
Yes.
and if you can't, what was the thing? I really love that one thing that Jesus said a long time ago. If you can't see the plank in your eye, don't be looking at somebody else. Those who live
Mm-hmm.
in glass houses, don't be throwing stones.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
that's what I got to say about that.
Right on. Thank you for letting me share.
No problem. I love you. You're great.
Thank you.
You're making me get some of this energy out in a very positive and respectful way. And I love sharing messages with everybody. That's why I'm here to help any way possible. And you know, like everybody else, I didn't say I know everything. I can't do everything. We're all learning. Even if I'm going to be 100 years old, I'm still going to learn something. Every day, Jesus was learning something when he was learning. That's the process of life. That's the human world. We have unconditional love, and we're learning. It's all a process. You can read 1,000 books and know nothing. It's how you interpret the book. Ain't that right, Bugsy? I know you got something to add there.
Yeah, literally in my head. I'm like, that's so funny because I don't remember a lot of my childhood. I had spirits and ancestors that were still living purposely block out a lot of my gifts. And I realized that when I was about 6, I started reading books a lot, especially like fiction, fairy tale books. And my imagination was so amazing to the point where I would get in trouble by everyone in my family because I would escape in these books. And I would interpret these books so different from everyone else who's read them in my family, if we've read the same books, because they're like, well, I've already read that. It's not a good book, something like that. But I don't remember reading words when I read books. I actually would visualize everything, and I'd get lost in the book to the point where I would read 400-page books in 2 days, 2.5
Can I say something right there?
Yeah.
I was waiting for somebody to bring it up. I kind of figured somebody would tonight. When you talk about fantasy, I find it utterly hilarious that, okay, we're created from a source, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, go back to that one Bible verse again. We're created in His image and His likeness. So if we're creators and we can manifest things, is that fantasy really true? It is. And you know why it is because there's something in your brain called some DNA, right? That DNA from your ancestors travels down through your life. Henceforth, all of that old DNAs and the generations and generations, all that stuff is real. It's how you perceive it. And that's where the imagination comes. When you say you're reading a book and you can actually picture it because it actually happened. Because your DNA is manifesting it again. It's reliving a past memory. That's why you're going there to envision it, because you were there at one time. Oh, I don't believe in dragons. Okay. Or I don't believe in dinosaurs. Okay. Then one time you watch the movie, you can be like, oh crap, I feel like I was there at one time. That's because your DNA is letting you know, hello, it's there. I mean, if God was a creator and He created the whole universe, He created all the planets, right? What's to say He didn't create everything that we're thinking right now? Like I could think of a tumbleweed that could talk. How you know there ain't one of them going around? Okay, you can go on. I just had to say that.
I 100% agree with you. That's one of the reasons why, like, I was very different as a kid. I wasn't really accepted by anybody for the fact that, like we were talking about awakenings. So I've been woke since I was born. It's actually very rare from a lot of people I've talked to be woke since you were born, but I was. And something happened to me a long time ago. I'm 26 now, where I actually... My gifts were blocked very heavily to the point where I remember like bits and pieces, and I could remember things from me being 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, but after that, it's a blur for a very long period of my life. But something that I do remember, I was really, really young, and I still kind of lived with my mom, and I would talk to my imaginary friends. That's what they would call it, but I swear up and down they weren't imaginary. I had one specific friend. It was a boy or a guy, and he helped me through a lot. And I had a dragon that I would talk to. And I remembered words as I got older, and I would write poems for forever. And I was actually going to ask if I could read 2 poems, because I remember my second awakening is when I started to write these poems. Because I don't know if you guys have experienced more than one awakening, but I have definitely experienced way more than one awakening. I believe right now I'm on my 4th awakening throughout my life, or at least my 3rd full awakening, aside from me being born. And we were talking about churches, and we were talking about our perception, and we were talking about God. And something that I struggled with my whole life was I grew up Methodist. I got baptized really, really young, but I did not like the church. Same with school. I did not like school. I hated it. Hated both of them. I'm sorry if you follow any type of religion at all in the chat. I absolutely hated it because I've always known things, and this is something I struggled with very heavily with my family and my friends. I've always known things even before people themselves wanted to admit it. So when it came to school, I would be like, this isn't what happened. I would know what happened, but I'm like, this is not what happened. There's no way this is true. Or, well, we're missing parts of the story. And I would say this, and I'd question this. And it got to the point where I was a great student. You give me math, put numbers in front of my face, I was a great student. You put science, like astrology was one of my favorite sciences. I can't remember the name of it, but where you learn different rocks and minerals and planets, I was amazing. But for some reason, history, I always struggled with. History, I almost had failing grades, except for like the regencies and stuff, and I'd ace them. But I hated it. I hated going to church. I'd fall asleep in church. I didn't do that. I could have been wide awake going into church, and I'd fall asleep. And then I get in trouble to the point where finally they're like, you're not going to church because you're going to disrespect, yada, yada, yada. And my escape from all of that was reading those books, being able to put myself in a different world because I knew I was there. I might have been a third-person viewer of that situation when I was reading, but it was real to me. It was more real than the reality that I was living in the 3D. And to some people that might have been sad, but to be completely honest, it saved my life multiple times.
Yeah.
One of the poems that I wrote, it's literally called Troubled Child because I never fit in anywhere. I didn't fit in with people who said they accepted me. I didn't fit in with people who supposedly accepted everybody. But when people needed someone, I was always the person people went to. I was always the person people asked. And I'm sure a lot of us, if not all of us in this group, are very similar to that because we love people and we love hard when we do. But the poem I wrote, it was years and years ago, and I found these books just recently. And it was the first time I actually tried to harm myself. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word, but it literally says, excuse me, hiccup. Troubled child. I was there till the end. Broken-hearted girl with no actual friend. Imaginary family, talking to myself. Hiding in the corner, crazy. I needed help. Walking alone, a road darker than the abyss. Child gone missing, but a child never missed. Alone, heartless, scared, yet no place to cry. So many people surrounded me, and yet no one seemed to try. Lonely little foolish girl, lost with no home. Only things she has is an imaginary family and friends, but with no hope. Rippled cardboard box seems like the right place. Garbage bags for clothes on a cold, sleepless night. All alone to herself. Wasn't the place to be, but someone who needs to get out with no master key. Thoughts crossing my mind. Monsters came out. No longer needed to hide. I was alone. Taking the hand of one that notices me. Taking the jump. I wake up entrapped. It's taken over, but never free. This was me. And I wrote this when, I don't know if this happened to any of you guys, I went through about 2 years to 3 years where I saw gray. I was me, but I wasn't me. I was walking in a meat sack, and I had almost no emotion. I could feel still. Not saying I went completely like crazy. Thank you, Candace. But everything, like, I wasn't allowed to be me, right? I wasn't allowed to show love. I wasn't allowed to express myself how I desired because I was always getting shat on, always getting things thrown in my face, always being told that I was trying to be better than others. So I ended up literally going all those years not seeing color, not seeing vibrant color, not seeing, the hardest part was the trees, because I lived with my great-grandmother who, bless her soul, because she was my mom. She gave me everything she could with the stuff she was given. Please don't take any of that the wrong way, but I couldn't be myself because I was always expected to be like others in the family. And I wasn't. I was the only one who absolutely had no problem going out in nature and talking to the trees, talking to the plants. I was the only one who would call the adults out on their bullshit. Excuse my language, sorry. And for someone as young as I was, that's not something you would do in a very traditional family. So I would escape through writing. And sometimes, even when I would write, I don't remember writing a lot of this. But when I go back and I read it, I remember me sitting and writing and where I was writing. And one of the other poems, I'm actually not going to read this one because I don't think I can. But one of the things in the poem is it's talking about me basically begging for my dreams as a kid to be real, for that magic to be real. Because I was someone who was, no matter all of that gray, I was so optimistic with myself to the point where I always let love peek out. I was dying, I was numb inside, but I always let I always expressed love. I always took care of people. I always was there for people. And I didn't realize that was one of the things hurting me so much. Because I didn't take care of myself. And then...
Yep. That's exactly what I've been through my whole life. The same thing.
It's hard.
That's why we all relate to each other, because we all had something like that. But
Me too.
some might have been different and harder, And I can't believe it, how I was able to hold it off here for 40-something years. And I'm surprised, Buggy. I'm surprised, man. I'm surprised that you were able to handle that.
Oh,
That shows that you were strong and you empowered yourself.
I wasn't, and this might sound sad to some people, but to me, it's quite empowering, because I think very differently. But I wasn't able to hold that composure. For everyone else, I was. But for myself, I was crumbling. I can't live without love in my life. That's why I always overgave. That's why I always suck out these people that needed so much love, but ended up hurting me so much more. And it's because I thought that if I could over-love somebody, basically love bomb them, I'm not going to lie. If I
You were
could...
trying to get acceptance.
Exactly. And that wasn't the case, obviously. And me being a young kid, people just took advantage of that. And my third awakening, I was in my early 20s, and this isn't counting me being born. I was in my early 20s, and I had just lost a child. And the hardest thing to be told was you have to choose your life or your kid's life. And I had nobody. I had absolutely nobody. And prior to this, I had tried to unalive myself, and nothing could have compared to this. And for some reason, all I could think about was, I still need to live. I still need to live, right? And that's not easy, because at the time I was living by myself. I had no car. I was really, really sick and in and out of the hospital for a whole month, so much so to the point where I could barely walk. And I had animals I had to take care of, and something just told me to go outside when I could barely walk in the snow and go by a tree. And I'm incredibly dramatic, I'm not gonna lie. I plopped my whole tush in the snow. We had 2 feet of snow. Plopped my whole tush there, and I just cried. And I have not cried over myself, I don't think, my whole entire life like I did. And it wasn't feeling sorry for myself. It was the fact that I was so mad at myself because I have so much to live for. And I knew there was magic in the world and I could feel the magic. And instead of chasing down the magic, I was chasing down all these irrelevant people that were just put here to teach me just how much I am worth. And I gave people so much of my time when in reality I could have given myself that same amount of love and been living a completely different life. But I also was incredibly thankful, and that's why I was crying. Because
I know exactly what you feel. Wow, that's freaking. That's why I'm glad I got the family now because I was doing the same crap, but 40 years I did the same crap. It's just
yeah,
wow.
I'm pretty good with learning my lessons pretty quick, but I'm also good with battling with source and my higher self sometimes because I purposely like to learn the lessons the hard way. And I know that sounds a little bit of crazy. Thank you so much, you guys. It sounds crazy, but I've always been someone to learn the things the hard way. That way, if someone comes to me and I'll make decisions purposely knowing that they're not the best for me, but my whole purpose for it is what's best for me, which might be a little cryptic, so I'll explain a little better. I've made the hard decisions and kind of paved my own path more than one time because I want to be able to, no matter my age, when people come to me, I want to be able to relate to them. I want to be able to actually do the things that they need, not just do that, that psychology therapist thing. You're going to be okay, just talk to me. Because sometimes people don't want to talk. Sometimes people just need to cry. Sometimes people need to scream. Sometimes people need to bury themselves in their bed and sleep for a couple days and then talk. But to understand that, I have to go through those things. And I couldn't be more thankful. And I'm not saying that losing a kid wasn't hard. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if I didn't go through it, I wouldn't know, one, how strong I am. Same with everything else in my life. But I wouldn't know how to help people in a way that really would help people. And I've had multiple people in my life who've lost kids. I wouldn't know how to talk to them. And it's hard to express things like that. And I'm someone who, I don't give a crap who you are. I will say what's on my mind. I will tell people what I've done wrong or what I believe was morally wrong. Because technically, I don't believe in right and wrong. I just believe on choosing love and understanding that if you're hurting someone's feelings, it's not right for you to do. But that is my belief, right? But I want to help people. And for me to help people, I have to experience these things. And I'm so grateful that the universe put me in a position to be able to do so. And my awakenings, every single one, and I'm sure I'm going to have more because I'm still pretty young. I'm sure I'm going to be able to experience more beautiful things. But I do think that even that time frame that I missed, the periods of my life that I don't remember, I know I led with love in my heart, but I also know that there's a reason that my younger self chose to forget. And the things that were blocked from me, I also know that, I'm not someone who wishes ill on anybody, but if it wasn't supposed to be blocked, I believe in karma. Plain and simple. I do. I believe in the whole cycle, and I 100% believe that magic that I was wishing for when I was a little kid, that real love that I had wrote about, the imaginary family that I could see, that I could talk to, I don't think it was imaginary. I think it was you guys. And I think I was just asking you guys to give me a little bit of love. And I believe that you answered those prayers. And I believe that I met you when I was meant to meet you, because I'm ready to. I'm ready for that unconditional love because I've learned and I've been able to experience, and now it's my turn to speak up
Gabby,
and help.
that
Yes.
love you were looking for is inside of you. You are that love. You were trying to find someone to give you the love that they can't give you because, unfortunately, like me, you're giving unconditional love. That's more precious than love itself. And that's the difference. You can love your spaghetti, you can love a car, but the love and the unconditional love, the endless love that you have for people in humanity, is what we all need to have. So you can say you love anybody in the planet. Do you mean just the regular love, like, oh, I love you like my brother, or this and that? Or do you mean the unconditional? No matter what they do, no matter what they say, do you actually really love them? And that was my problem, like you. You went through your life and you always questioned. They say they love me, but their words are faulty. They're faulty because if they had that unconditional love, that love of purity, then you would notice it. And that is what us as a family have, that unconditional love for each other. We're all going to stumble, we're all going to fall, and we're all here to help each other. And I am glad that you found that with the family you found now. Because even though we all lack in certain areas, we're all generally looking for the same thing. It doesn't matter what path in life you get to, you're going to come to the same goal at the end of the day.
Yeah, something I did also. Yeah, you already went to the cage because you know you did bad. Hold on, my dog just got into something he wasn't supposed to.
I
Speaking
broke down
of,
my cage.
no, he goes in the cage. Something else that I realize is it's oddly enough I've never had friends long term. I think I have a best friend now who's probably one of the most amazing people I've ever met, and she helped me realize that real love, really unconditional love without understanding. I'm gonna say it like that because there is real love. I can love you. I've loved everyone my whole entire life, right? But that deep unconditional love, she showed me that. We've been sisters basically for about 7 years now. And we had a falling out, and I don't think we talked for a year. But when we started talking again, it was like nothing ever left. And she's the only person my whole entire life who's genuinely been able to accept me and all the chaos. She knows all of the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And to find people like that, to find people like you guys now, it's something that I've realized I've cherished more and I deserve, right? That was the thing. For the longest time, I didn't think I deserved it. And Dom, that's my best friend's name, she helped me realize that I deserve it.
We all deserve it.
Exactly.
It's just how we're going to give it out. I mean, it's all about the unconditional love, the spiritual guidance, the manifestations. It all leads up to something, to be the better person that you are. It doesn't matter, if you stumble and fall, just because somebody says, oh, you did this and blah, blah, blah. And then they try to cast you out like, oh my God, I put a Christmas tree in my house. Oh my God, where's the forgiveness? All these people, all they ever preached was forgiveness
Mom, you're in here?
and loyalty. But at the end of the day, do they really mean it? Because if they loved you so much, you were such a great inspiration to them. You put a Christmas tree in your house. You walk out and you accidentally get mad and you hit somebody. You give someone the finger. You get kicked out of church. I mean, really? It's a stumbling block. And who is this? Some idiot I'm sorry. I'm really not. Some guy in a kind of a tuxedo wearing a little thing here tells you, here, grab this necklace here and say 5 Hail Marys and blessed be to whoever the hell you want, or let's go to a Buddha monastery and pray for 16 hours and this and that. No, 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 no. I just don't understand why people believe that kind of stuff. That if you have an all-loving God and He's going to love you unconditional love, but yet you have to repent and do all these jump through stupid hoops. Why don't you just go right to the source? Why not, pray to Jesus or pray to the Spirit and say, and when you have that, when you actually mean it in your heart, then it's actually forgiven. You don't have to have some human tell you, oh, God forgives you. If God forgive me, I feel it in my heart. You don't have to tell me a damn thing. And who the hell are you to tell me to do 7 Hail Marys or go pray out in the desert somewhere? Who are you to tell me that? If God wants me to do that, He's going to tell me to do it inside my head. You have no right to tell me that, and you have no right to judge me. And that is how I've always thought, and that's how I've always believed, that when it's in your heart tells you what you need to do, then you need to do that. Your brain can get you in so much trouble. Believe me, you listen to your brain, you're going to get in trouble. You have to go with your heart and your feeling and with it's in your soul. And that's what a lot of people don't do. They go by, well, your face is annoying me too. Anyway, so that's what you do. You come out with, you got to be positive way of thinking, and when someone's being negative, you just brush it off. Anybody else? And sometimes you have to be harsh with
I
people.
would like to say.
Oh, go ahead,
I
honey.
would
I'll
like.
go
I
after
would
you.
like. I would like to share something with Bugs. On the first of all, you're freaking amazing. You are freaking amazing. You are just wow. You are freaking wow. But on that losing the child thing, I've been there and I've done that like 30 years ago, and it is maybe 30 years ago. Okay, so maybe it's 10 years ago now that it took me a long time to talk to her after she passed away. And it took me a long time to want to be happy because of her passing. I felt like, how am I supposed to be happy or show happiness when my child passed away? Who the hell is going to be happy? And I didn't want to be happy. I wanted to be happy, but not too happy. A little bit of happiness was okay, but then it was just weird. But anyway, I don't know what I wanted to say. I just wanted to say that you're freaking amazing. You are just freaking amazing, and I fucking love you.
I love you too. Thank you so much.
We
I
have many awesome people in this family.
Yeah, definitely.
We're so unique. We're going to go to Pete and then Alien T, but let Bugsy finish up. And can we hit the stars here, the shares? I mean the likes, the shares, and the gold. Can we have them, please? That'd be great. But Bugsy, if you didn't have anything else to say, we'll move on to Peter. But waiting on you.
I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for that. I handle death very differently, and I had dreams about my baby, and that helped me a lot. And I know a lot of people don't experience it the same ways, and that's thank you for that.
You are awesome. Yeah.
Anytime. And on the part where if you when you go through hard stuff, like anybody goes through hard things, I think it's a way of okay, for you to learn and for you to grow. And when people come to you with that same experience, you have experience and you can share your experience, and try to help them in that way.
Exactly.
Okay. Um, we'll hop on to Peter, then Alien T, and we'll see who's after that. Thank you. That was very inspirational, Jennifer. Pete?
Okay, we're talking about when we woke up, yeah, officially.
Yeah, the First Awakening.
I grew up with dyslexia, right? And I was 7 years of age, and I was in a coma for a week, right? And when I woke up, like my grandfather's brother was a white father. When I woke up, he was over me, basically reading the last rites. And I says, "What are you doing?" He goes, "We thought you were dead." And I go, "Dead?" I go, "I've been with, well, you call him Jesus, but like his real name is Joshua." And he turned around to me and goes, "What makes you say that?" I've been playing with him like when he was a child. He goes, "Yeah, but how can you see that?" He goes, "Well, I was asleep, wasn't I?" He goes, "No, you were in a coma." And he turned around and goes, like, what did he look like? I said he was a blonde little boy running around Egypt, and I was throwing stones with him. But he goes, "That's not in the book." And I go, "What's the book? I'm dyslexic, I can't read that." And he goes, "I won't answer that question because God rose up at the age of 35. And I go, "Where was he when he was a child?" And they wouldn't answer the question. And that's why I always question it from that age. And when I went back to church, I always questioned the priests. And they just told me to leave because they wouldn't answer the question. And I always question it ever since. Do you know? And if they don't know that the question, where was Jesus from a child? And in that dream state, in the coma state, I actually seen what he was up to. And it was the most profound and weirdest experience I ever had. Do you know? And then over my life, I walked away from my family, lived on the streets, my own choice, to get to know where I'm coming from. And it woke me up because I knew he was always there with me every day. And anytime anyone was talking to me, they always called me eccentric, weird, but within that, but they always asked me questions, you know, about God, about my spirituality. I said, God is always in you. God is not in no church. God's not in the temple. Your temple is your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I ever spoke about. And then when I had the another near-death experience, when I met the divine beings, as I know them as, but there's certain names people call them. They're always talking to me, you know. So it's hard to explain. Do you know what I mean? You know, every time we sleep, we die, and every time we wake up, it's a blessing.
It's like we're phoenixes.
Yeah. So that's all I can say.
Even Jesus said the church is inside of us. We are the embodiment of light. Our church is our temple is our body. Whatever we put into it, whatever we say, is how our temple is going to look.
True.
Yeah. And that's exactly true, Peter. Freaking awesome.
And I'm a big believer in that. For years, I like my whole family. They don't talk to me. My girlfriend's family. Every time they talk to me, they're judging themselves when I talk to them. If I bring up a topic to change the subject, and they're judging themselves before they judge anyone else. Do you know? And I never understood that. We manifest everything we want to achieve in life. And I'm a big believer in that because it's like when you see the divine, God in spirit, as a child, playing with him, we're all being there. We've all been with him as a child. But it's up to us to open up our mind and actually see that. You know?
Peter? You're amazing.
That's all I can, that's all I've got to say. And, you know, love is plutonic across the world. And it's what you see love as. Without plutonic love, the world wouldn't be the way it is today. Within everyone's heart. Namaste.
And that is how you change the world. And we'll go to Alien T.
Hey, hi, Epsilon. How you doing tonight? Great.
All
Great.
right.
Sir.
I had to get out some passive aggressive information earlier. You
Oh,
probably heard that.
no, I joined in when Bugsy was speaking, uh,
Oh,
and that was amazing, Bugsy. And you know, Pete, yeah, we're the oddballs, I guess. We're all gathering together. It's good to find people that have experienced the same things I have. You know, it's good to have this space, Epsilon. You're amazing. You know,
that's right.
creating a space for people to come together and, you know, discuss things that really they can't discuss with anyone else. You know, family, friends. It's difficult to find people that will listen. So I joined in because yeah, I just really enjoy spaces like this, and I believe the topic is awakening or first
Yeah.
awakening.
We were talking about firstly, it's an open topic. That's what originally was gonna be, but we got rerouted to our first spiritual awakening, and then we went from there. We went into churches and the faulty with the Bible. That's kind of where we're at right now. So any of those topics are great.
Sorry, what was
Any of
that?
those topics would be great.
Well, so okay, I understand the topic now. So for me, religion is limited. That's just my personal belief. There's a lot of good religious people, but for me, religion is limiting. And, you know, ascending or transcending from religion to spirituality, and when you start to put into action what is written, and you start to live it, and you start to discover even more than what a book can contain, that's where I think you really find the truth about yourself and about others and about this entire existence, that it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Unfortunately, you know, there's some strife in the world. A lot of it is caused by misunderstandings of what is written in religion, and we see that divisiveness out there. I cannot, you know, condone that. It's for me, it's the greatest failure of humanity, is to get along with other people.
And so many people don't ever change. They want to stay the same, and they wonder why things fail for them because they don't learn. And that's the whole process of life. They don't want to learn anything, and they want to think that they're right in their egos and all that. That just is not going to get you anywhere. You have to drop your ego, be humble, and realize, look what's in front of you in order to see the true meaning of life. It's not that hard. I mean, I don't understand why people don't see the way. It's just, I guess it's because they're blocked with greed, jealousy, or whatever it is in their life, that they're too busy. Like I said earlier, you know, some people need to take the plank out of the ride before they look at somewhere else. And I think that we should try to love them with that unconditional love, you know? And we got to be forgiving, even though you want to sit there and yell back. You got to be that forgiving person. And a lot of this world don't do that. And that's why that I like going to your place too, you know? It's a safe space, like, you know, many of us have. But it's very far in between how good them safe spaces are. So you're awesome, man. You're also killing it. I see what you do. Even though I'm not in there much anymore. I see you're killing it with what you do.
Yeah, you were one of my originals. I remember the beginning when I first started. You were there a lot and you shared a lot. And it's good to see people. Now here's the thing about Christ. I will say that I definitely have Christ on my spiritual team. The Buddhist teachings were amazing. There have been so many ascended masters that have shown us the truth. They've lived it. And, you know, the key is this. You know, I'm glad that you're out doing your own lives and other people are spreading out. And you're right. It's hard to find safe spaces like this where people's truth is acknowledged, respected, and listened to. Because, you know, when we all share our truth, we all get a bigger piece of the puzzle. The thing is, Christ was not creating followers. He was creating leaders. You know, he said, you too shall do this and more. And when we embrace that, the teachings, and we actually live it, we start to see change in our own world, and it starts to spread. And the more of us that are out there, like what you're doing, Epsilon, you know, I respect you and I appreciate you for doing this. You know, the more people do this, the more change we will start to see, actual change in the world. So I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to see everybody together discussing these things.
It's great to have you guys here too. I mean, sometimes, you know, like I say, like, everybody thinks that everybody should be the same. They really shouldn't, because, like I said earlier, you know, if we were all the same, we'd be boring and pathetic. And nobody wants to listen to the same rendition of the same damn book or the same damn person saying the same damn thing. Nobody wants to hear that. It's like you're beating a dead horse. That's why when we go to different lives and we see different people in our lives, it's actually because they might be interesting and have a different train of thought. Who would have ever, if you read the same book a million times, that would get kind of boring, you know? So the whole thing is diversity. We actually play different games. We like different movies. We like different foods. What does that tell you? Is everybody different? No. Yes, everybody's different. We're all not the same. Everybody does things a different way what they feel comfortable with. And so many people, I ain't saying names. I ain't even pointing out anybody, but a lot of people just want to do the same thing over and over and over and think that they're doing stuff. But are they really? But, you know, you've got to look at that and go, eventually they'll get the understanding they need. Sometimes you got to plant a seed or two. You know, and I don't think that any of us on his lives should, you know, worry about what other people think. You know, I encourage all of us to come out here and do our lives. You know, if they don't like it, then they can easily swipe up as they can swipe down. You know, they can choose to listen, they can choose not to listen. We're all not the same. We're very different. We all come with the same message, but in a different way. And it's very rare and unique that some people actually understand. And like, you go to Alien Teas, you can go to his live and somebody might go, oh, this is hogwash, I don't believe this. But they go to somebody else and go, oh, look, I resonate with that one. Or they could go from that live and go, oh, wow, Alien T is amazing because he's got great people on here. He does it his way. That's just how it is. And what all of these people don't realize is also, yes, we are the host of our shows, but who makes the show the greatest are the people in the live that speak the words. It doesn't matter how many followers. It matters that whoever speaks the message in the box has a different, unique version that might help somebody down in the chat. That's what makes a live so great. That's what makes the message even stronger. That is what empowers everybody. And I have heard some comments. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying in general that is the true message. You want the true understanding? Listen to the people around you. Take the wax out of your ears and listen to the message. If you don't want to listen to it, you don't have to. You got free will. We were given free will, so it's all up to you. If you want to hear great messages, you know you're going to sit there and listen to great messages. Right?
Yeah, well, that's why I only go live 3 nights a week, because the other 4 nights I want to visit other people and get different perspectives. And you know what you're doing is great. I appreciate you, and thank you for having me up here. Absolutely.
Oh, it's awesome, man. And yeah, I might have changed in the past month or so, but I've come to the realization is that we all have free will. We're not going to think alike. And you know what? Sometimes you have to hurt people's feelings for them to understand what you're trying to say. I mean, even didn't Jesus say that? Spare the rod sometimes. Sometimes he went in the temples. What did he do? He turned over tables. Was it because he didn't love them? No, he did it out of love. Sometimes you have to get harsh to get the understanding through. What does everybody think about that one?
I believe.
Well, I think
Anybody else?
I think that you're correct on that, Epsilon. And I love how everybody has their own thinking, their own way, their own opinion, their own lives, and how they do it, you know, and nobody has the right to, like, judge anyone. And if you think you do, you don't. And also, that we're all here with a heart. We're all here with love. Love is our intention, you know, and that's the whole part of it. You know, we come here in a space of love.
Yes, love. That is what's important.
Well, and look at all of us here. We all come from such various backgrounds and different types of knowledge, skill, and gifts. The young ones that are hopefully going to save our old asses, and, you know, the ones that are early in their awakening, the ones that are late in their awakenings. I mean, we're all coming together for a commonality, and each of us has something that is extremely valuable, even if it's just to one other person. And that's, I get up in the morning and I just tell myself, if I can only touch one person in the day, I will have a fabulous day, and that will make me happy. And hopefully it makes someone else happy. But also, if you disagree, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to learn a different perspective, you know? There's a lot of things I don't agree with, but I sure am interested in hearing what someone else has to say about what they're thinking, because I may not have seen it that way, because I didn't grow up that way, or because I'm not that age, or that's not my life, or whatever. You know, you never know where someone else is coming from until you ask. And then you have to listen.
Yeah. And sometimes you might feel you're passive aggressive, but you're not really. What it is you're just speaking the truth. Sometimes the truth will hurt.
I'm never passive aggressive. I'm always aggressive. There's no passive about me. You know
I
where I'm
just,
coming from.
yeah, some people think that sometimes when a person speaks, they think you're being passive aggressive or you're being mean. No, you're just speaking the truth. It's the interpretation and the perspective of things that people don't understand. The words are very powerful to humanity nowadays. You say one thing with the English language, you can say one thing and it could mean 35 others.
That
and
is
it,
true.
and people like back now, people are soft as to if you look back 3 generations, you could say some of the stuff now. People just look at you and go, whatever. Now you got people crying outside, going, wah, wah, wah. I mean, it's a generation that's moved on, and people got so soft because of how the culture is and how we're being programmed to think a certain way. Well, some people are, not me, but some people are programmed to think a certain way through their generations. The generation now is completely soft, but that's the thing now is that's what our jobs are as the older people, as the light workers, to teach these younger ones and the people that have lost their ways to find the true way with life and stuff like that. And it's very hard for them to understand it. That's why we should come together as a family, as a united front. Forget all this. Oh, you're this, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. It doesn't matter. Like you said, honey, it's all about unity. We all think the same. It's all going to be the same thing. Why? Why disagree when you all think the same logical thing? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, Peter, go on. I see your hand raised.
Okay, I'm going to answer that question in my way, right? Joshua, Jesus, whatever the world wants to call him. The only reason he turned over them tables, and it still resonates today, because they were gambling in the house of his father, and the house was a disrepute, child trafficking, whatever, school, whatever, and that's all he ever done was debauchery on everything, and they're still doing it today. We won't mention what churches are doing it. They've been doing it around the world for centuries, and it all began in Rome. Because
Yeah.
Rome took over the debauchery of that religion, and he seen the future. He knew exactly what was happening. And when he stood up and said, within the dispute of the churches, look within yourself, and then you'll understand what is happening around you. And they didn't like him for that, because he brought the light to the priests or whatever they want to, high ministers or the monks or whatever they want to call themselves now. It's all happening right now, and it's been proven. History repeats itself over and over and over again. And we all have the word of God within our own way. He always said, speak your own word the best way you can. That's the best. Namaste.
And isn't that what Yeshua came for? When there's no mention of him in the Bible from the age of 12 until suddenly he reappears at 33 with all this knowledge, and they want to tell you that he was just a carpenter during that time, and so that sent me looking and realizing that he was off learning. He was off learning all the things, and he and Mary Magdalene both were sent away to learn the ways of the yogis and to find that Christ consciousness inside themselves. And that's what he was trying to teach people, was that the God of the old Bible was not our real God. The God that he wanted us to know is the one that is inside of us, all of us. And if we look at each person and see God there, how could we harm that person? How could we hate that person? How could we ever wish any kind of harm or hate to anyone that has the same God in them that we have in us? I've never understood that, and never understood why they twisted everything so, other than the greed.
They twisted that so they can have control, because
Exactly.
that's why they took the books out of the Bible. And if you look at those books, they altered them. You had King James alter it. You had Constantine alter it. And all the bits and narrative that they were trying to spin. Constantine, I think, did it to a point to help, but in the end it didn't help very much. And then King James just bluntly did it. He changed and altered it plainly.
Well, and King James was such a slug. I swear, the more I learn about him, the more I believe that man was an absolute slug in humanity. He a boil in our rear. But, you know, people are so willing to believe it because it confirms what they already want to believe. And if you can believe you're better than somebody else, then that gets you through your day, I guess. And you know, the more I learned about the Bible and the more I learned about the missing books and the deep dive I did on the disciples, they were just warmongering illiterates who thought Jesus was going to lead them to victory and you know, make them all kings of the land. It wasn't until later in his ministry that they kind of sort of got it. And then at the end, they got it. But even still, you think about it, why aren't there writings in the Bible? You think they did all that with Jesus and walked all that way and watched him die on the cross and never wrote down a thing? You know, they didn't. I mean, in the books in the Gospel and the New Testament, they weren't written by the people that they're named for. They were written by other people that they just kind of put it all together. And Constantine said, choose the ones that sound the most the same. And so that's what they did. And then even Leviticus, it was not written for the regular person. It was written for a monk sect of Levites, you know, how to live in the monastery and get along. And, you know, it had nothing to do with anything else. All of John's letters, he mentions things that he wrote home that were never ever written in the Bible. So if they were important enough for him to write it to the people at back home, why didn't they put it in the Bible?
Yeah, they took things out. They took out books. They changed it around. All to spin one narrative. They wanted people to be not united, because they knew once humanity unites under one roof and one likeness and one consciousness of high vibration and love and compassion for each other, would be unstoppable. Look back at the time of the Tower of Babel. They were more primitive than we were. They built a freaking tower all the way up into the clouds, and they were just not even. And what happened? They got knocked down because they weren't ready for that yet. Just imagine when humanity transcends into the higher level with just more than one person.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, when the mothers gave us our divine spark is when they all decided they did not want us to know the truth. So,
like the truth's out there.
Where did Nightbird go?
I don't know. She went behind the curtain, I guess. I don't know where Nightbird went.
I went and took a bath and she disappeared.
And as you say, when you look at King James, right, he was an misogynist, right? He killed his first wife, right? He read the Bible, he twisted it because he seen his belief in the Bible. When you actually read the readings of him, he said he seen the light of God. He seen his light of God. That's why he changed the Bible to his interpretation, because most of his writings in the Bible is all about death, resignation, and all of that. And that's the only reason he done it, is because he killed all his wives, and he married one, and then he killed her, and then he died.
Didn't
King
he
James.
starve
And
his
when you look at
children
that,
too?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
he was
he talked about
supposedly
young
had a
boys.
child for his own daughter,
Yeah,
and that
and
was hidden.
he talked about young boys, his preference for, and
Yeah, he liked young boys.
yes, yes.
So, and then all of a sudden, then he wrote the Bible. When you actually look into the history, because King James was hated in Ireland, because he was the first person to raid this country and to send the church to over here to kill us, because we were clowns on paganism. We believed in the real higher being, the higher
Right.
God, and God was the higher. And pagans were more spiritual than the Catholic Church, and even today they're more spiritual, and that's what King James didn't like, you know, and it was his way or the highway. And that hasn't changed, because the English still follow his. The Church of England is that's their belief, and the King James Bible is the Church of England. If you
In the whole,
actually look into it.
thing.
Yes, I did. And, being a Lutheran, of course, I studied Martin Luther and all the things that he went through to become the first Protestant. And he was, literally hounded out of the church for disclosing that they were literally starving people for their last penny while they were saving it all for themselves, trying to sell heaven, you know. It's all so twisted. And I'm so glad that the world has come to a place where we can all see it. And thank God for the social media that we have, where we can speak across the world and learn from each other's histories and from other people's shared experiences. That's just amazing to me.
And that's what we're here to spread that love and
When they
light.
took out 3 words in the Bible as well, it says it in the book of Enoch, when God spoke to Enoch, when the world understands the word of love, then the world will listen, and that day will come. And that day is here now.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing. And it barely says it in the Bible. Barely says it in whatever what part of the book they want to read, and it even says it in the Celtic scrolls. It says it in the scrolls of Ra. It says the exact same thing. When you know the word, you'll understand the word, and that's the problem. That's the word is love, and it's the most important word in our life. It's magic. It's the most magical word in love. Everything, and the more people that speak it, the more people that use it in the right way, then the world will change.
Yes, and we have to stop focusing on the negative. We have to stop looking at what's going on the other side of the world with sympathy and sorrow, and we're just perpetrating it. If we just send love and just blanket that whole area with love and think it into being, then we'll have a much better chance of experiencing that in our lifetime.
And that was what I was getting at. We can share, we can talk about that, but the main focus is that change. That change is within all of us to focus on the more positive of light things, because if you just totally shut off the negative, sometimes you're just avoiding. And in order for us to get stronger at times we do have to take on that negative to feel even stronger. And that is what we're meant for. Because if somebody comes to you real negative and you're like, oh, I can't take this negative energy, are you really going to be able to handle it when it gets rough? No. You have to take it a little at a time. So then when you really have something coming at you, you could go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And you get that positive strength. Kind of like you're eating like baby food. When you're eating and you're taking them baby steps. When you're walking, you take a little at a time. But if someone overwhelms you, then you know you got to retreat. But if you're feeling that negativity, it's not good to feel it all the time. But at times you're going to need to feel something in order to move. You know what I'm saying? You need to feel something to move forward. Some of the negativity, like that's why it's down here now. That's why that negative energy is around here on this planet. It's to get our, excuse my language, to get our asses in gear and to feel that awakening, just like everybody said, even like you said. But is it good to feel it all the time? No. You need to go into a safe space. You need to have that sanctuary within yourself to resonate with it so you can grow. But should we always dwell on it? If you always dwell on it, it's going to have the opposite effect. It's going to bring you down. You're going to get negative. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. That it's okay to talk about it to a point, and it's that. But don't focus on the negative. Focus on the positive. Learn from that. I don't know if that's what you were trying to say, honey.
Well, the universe is going to bring you what you focus on. It's not positive or negative. It's just listening to what you're focusing on. And it's saying, oh, she wants more of that. Okay, let's give her some more of that. You know, you have to be very implicit in what you're asking for. You know, what you're focusing on.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. You can bring it up a little, just don't have, like, if you hover it and think about it and focus on it, of course that universe is going to lay the smackdown on your ass. You don't want to deal with that. No. I think everybody can agree with that.
Epsilon, everyone, can I just say something? What I've come to know about the Bible and how and why it was written 300 years ago, and 300 years after, Christ began awakening people, which is what he was doing, right. Which is really what we're doing in these lives. We're just allowing people to discover their truth inside of themselves and share it. And that's what was happening. And after about 10 generations, they were losing control, the church and state. They were losing control of the people. The people discovered this truth that was spreading from person to person in a very real way, in a very energetic, loving way. And, ultimately Christ was just deconstructing people from religion. He said, I come with a sword to pit, daughter against mother. And he was breaking generational curses of a false religion. And I have to say it the way it is. I know it's going to ruffle some feathers, but that's what was happening. And after 10 generations, this was spreading, and it was going to spread. And it's like what we're doing right now in these lives. It's everything was word of mouth. Everything, they didn't have social media. When they gathered, the families gathered, this is what they spoke about. Yeah. And ultimately, church and state had to control us once again. So they created, they took the teachings and misrepresented them. And we can see that, if you do embrace your highest self within, you can then begin to see the truth. And, ultimately, it is now they're losing their control. And I don't know what they're going to do next to stop us, but they're going to try something, I'm sure. Hopefully this time we survive.
Well, they're trying again to use religion to control us. You understand that, right? That's why they're focusing on, the evangelical patterns and trying to force us all to live the evangelical way and, just essentially cut us off at the head because they want us to all go back to being enslaved to fear of what's going to happen to us. Tell us, well, you're going to hell if you don't act this way, talk this way, believe this way. And they're doing it through our government, and they're doing it as a worldwide process that's been ongoing for quite some years, since well before the 80s.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
We just have to decide if we're going to let them.
And that's what we don't let anybody. We're going to be ourselves.
Exactly. All it is, it always comes down to one thing: the Holy Land. Everybody wants that land. Why? Is because that's where it all began. We all came from there. People can say we came from South Africa, we came from here. All creation came from, all the world was all connected. And then the Great Flood came. And like when you look at Ireland, we were part of South America thousands and thousands of years ago. And like that always made me think, like, they say Jesus travelled the world. How did he get there? Obviously he had boats. If they had boats, he was in Ireland, because Ireland, like back then, like the way I see it, Ireland was connected to America, because it broke off thousands of years after. And that always made me think, who built Stonehenge? Who built Newgrange? It wasn't us. It wasn't the people. Like, with all these mystical places on the earth, there's stories on the rocks. And if we could actually read them today, that story they have on the rocks, it'd probably blow our minds. It's probably the same story about a higher being what came down to spread the word of love. It's always the same, always goes back to the same thing. Israel, bang, history, repeat.
And we not show everybody the negative. That's why we need to bring it up, so we grow stronger.
The other night, who was talking about how her belief is that they are creating nuclear deserts around the world so they can use the DNA through the soil, the blood into the soil, that they can extract the DNA in order to use it to create a new type of being that they can use as, say a workforce or a new hybrid type of being. I need to listen to her some more to figure out exactly what she's saying, but it kind of makes sense in a way. But honestly, what I believe they're doing is they just want more power. They want more concentrated power. They want that land, and they want the Suez Canal to go up through there. I don't know. I'm trying to stay out of politics. It's making me crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of why.
It's making me crazy as well.
Anybody else?
I just have one more thing to say. So these lives, there's something called collectively manifesting, which is what we're all doing. We're all connected to the collective. It's the mass consciousness, and the more we gather and the more people speak, there's power there, and we are altering the mass collective awareness, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and you guys are all doing what you're doing. And if we continue to do this, eventually, we are evolving, we're ascending above and beyond control. They're gonna have to physically control us because the brainwashing won't work anymore. So I appreciate everybody here who does this and contributes to changing, eliminating all the false beliefs and all the, oppressive, fear-based indoctrination and allowing humanity to rise up and finally embrace, what Epsilon and what everybody else was saying about love. It's quite simple. The answer is simple, but achieving it might be a bit more difficult. But it is all about love, ultimately.
That's all it's about. Oh, that was a great message, Alien. You all have such
It's a great message.
Thank you for the roses. Let's see. I'm waiting for someone else to show up there, but I don't see him yet. I guess we'll go.
Documentary now at the moment about Suna and Guggamara. I don't know if I'm actually pronouncing it right, but there was a scientist, and he's actually been stopped, and they're looking he found nuclear waste on that land from thousands of years ago, and they're trying to shut him down. And it makes you think, like when in the Bible when they said, God said, don't look around, and the explosion went off, and he said he tested the land, and there's still a nuclear fallout in that area, and a lot of the people won't go near that area, and he's been stopped from testing the land, and he wants to test it again, and every time he sends the samples away, they've lost the samples. So he said he's in the process of testing it himself, finding a way to test it himself to get the real truth out to the world. So it's an interesting documentary. There was only one season, and it's crazy. You can get it's on Hulu. I found it on Hulu. I can't remember the name of it. And when I went searching for it again, I think it's called The Story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and it's very good the way he interprets it,
Yeah. I often watch that kind of stuff. It gives you really good insight on a lot of logical things. It makes you wonder, Honey, do you have any? Hopi. You haven't spoken in a while. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm losing my voice.
Oh, you gotta look for it.
You need some honey and Jack Daniels.
Right?
Oh, that'll turn her into the blessing alcoholic. No, pure ginger, pure lemon, pure mint, and pure nettle. If you have that, mix it all together, blend it all together, boil it up, and drink that thing, and you won't have a sore throat ever again. It'll cleanse the esophagus in the throat. Old Irish witch trick.
No.
So, Pete, I had a friend ask me today, their baby keeps having ear infections, and someone suggested putting some ginger drops in her ears, but the only thing he could find was ginger with alcohol in it. It was 37 milligrams of ginger, and the rest of it was alcohol. I told him the alcohol would probably help, dry up the fluid. I didn't think it would be too hurtful, but is 37 milligrams of ginger going to be enough?
Well, with alcohol in it, that burns the wax. I wouldn't recommend it. But like what I do is I just boil ginger in the pot and let it cool down, and get a syringe and put it into the ear normally, and it kind of, whatever it does, it drains the ginger and cloves. Ginger and cloves, boil them in a pot and let it cool down. Cool it, obviously, let it go cold, and put it in a syringe, and then put it in your ear, and it'll soak up, and it'll come out as droplets, as water. That's what I do all the time.
Okay.
Best way. That's what me.
I wanted
That's what Granny used to do, so I swore by it.
Okay. I wanted to be sure, because normally I just do a little lavender, that seemed to always help my kids, and I didn't know. I just thought it was an awful lot of alcohol.
It is an awful lot of alcohol in it. I use lavender as well. Lavender is good.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Peter, you need to write a book.
Yes, I agree.
To write, no, jeez, I wouldn't have the patience to write a book. Bestseller.
I think you'd be good at it.
Billy would.
Anybody else have anything to add? Anybody want to come up?
I think we're all talked out.
Oh, okay. We got 5 minutes anyway. I just figured we could close it out anyway soon.
And this is for anyone that smokes pure herb. I'll just mention herb. I won't say the real thing. Right? If you make pure herb tea, I'll just say the haze, purple haze. If you boil that to a certain contact, right? Mix it with honey, let it cool down, and drink 3 of it a day. You'll definitely rise to ascension. It cleanses the whole blood.
We can jump by the evening, huh?
Yeah, we can fly to wherever destination is going with grow wings.
Well, I spoke quite a bit on the Bible tonight, and I don't want anybody to think that I, that I feel any sort of way. I did go to church and spent a lot of time learning contemplative prayer. I enjoyed channeling the homilies that I did. I think having some kind of background for my kids was good for them to branch off from. And, we all have our feelings about the Bible. We have our feelings about Jesus, Yeshua, all the different people. We all have our own place in our journey line. We're none of us ahead or behind anybody else. We're exactly where we need to be in our journey. And wherever that is for you, that's where you need to be for now. So, whatever brings you happiness, whatever brings your soul a song, that's what you need to do. That's where you need to go. And whatever leads you to any other feelings or thoughts, that's what it's all meant to do. It's a springboard, a starting place for us all. And some people never knew the Bible at all. I mean, some people grew up without any kind of, Christian training or Jewish or any other religion. I've just never been a rule ranger. I've always gone outside the rules, and I just always explored all the boundaries and went as far as I could and have arrived at my own beliefs. And that's what I think we all should do, personally.
I totally agree with
I'll agree with that. What I always wanted to do is, you know, that the islands where all of these people who don't believe in religion, all the, like, these islands, like there's islands out there all over the world. They live in like in the rainforests. I always wanted to go there and learn their language, because what religion have they? What's their religion? They don't believe in the same religion as us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like all these tribes who live in the jungles. It'd be interesting, you know. You'd probably be killed going there with a spear or something, but at least you experienced it.
Yeah, I was always told as a child that that's why the Christians were sent to go across the world, was to take the good news, because for every person that died without knowing Christ, that would be on us. I kind of BS on that. You know what I mean? They were probably way more spiritual than any of us living here in the U.S.
And that's what we're trying to do. Have a community with love and light. And we all come as, I want to say congregation, as a collective of spiritual people that shows love and compassion to humanity. No matter what they do, we're going to be there for them with that unconditional love.
Well, when I came on here tonight, I had a horrible headache. I'd had it all day long. It's like really, really bad. And it's completely gone now from all the energy here in the live and all the love that I feel. So thank you all.
Virtually healed.
I feel so much better.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Storm is coming across Ireland. There's a big storm out there. Schools are closed now till 10 o'clock in the morning. We're on a yellow warning all day tomorrow.
Be safe.
I will. You know, I might get a hang glider. It might fly me to the destination, the one I go, or Lima towards America. Might take me over for free. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Come see us. Yes, I have an extra room. I have a couple extra rooms. You could stay.
Man, lads, and hang glider being blown away by wind, Ireland.
Is it cold there, Pete?
It is very cold, yeah. I don't even know the bleeding temperature because I can't look at it.
I don't know, that kind of, I go over that area, it's cold as hell over there, no matter what time you like.
That's one of the places I've never been and I've always wanted to go.
Ireland's really nice.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's known, that's why they call it the land of scholars, because it was always the scholars what rose up and told the stories. When you look at all the Irish, for centuries we've hidden books. You know, we've hidden books. The Book of Kells is the oldest book in the world, and it has all the stories written down.
I had read that. That is very interesting.
It's that big, it'll take 5,000 years to read it. You take out little triples every year and put them into books.
Hmm.
So, and it's in Trinity College.
Well, I'm gonna have to look into that now. Like I don't have a list of books already.
But it's the drawings in it what are interesting. When I seen the drawings and I go, whoa, there's literally dragons flying across the earth on it. Like, it's amazing, like the way that they drew the pictures.
Well, those are the kind of books I always grew up reading, were the ones about magic and dragons and
Yeah,
wizards and the sci-fi, the people in the spaceships. And when I listen to classic radio, when they have all the old sci-fi stories on about the spacemen and going up into space, and the spaceship is them, they're the spaceship, or the spaceship that fell in love with the pilot, so she managed to kidnap him and keep him. Those kind of things. But I just love the dragons and the
I used to love them films. I remember a film it popped up for you on me watch page the other night for some reason. It was called The Pod, and it was about they landed on Earth. It was like a pod. It was black and white, and it just popped up, man. And I go, great! It's that long since I've seen it. I have it on my save list to watch it again. It's all these pods coming in to the people. What's his name's in it? Gene Wilder.
Yes.
And all of them are in it, and it's weird as hell. They're basically telling us what was happening in the bleeding film. It's like The Matrix, the original one.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those old radio shows, I mean, they were written back in the 40s, and they sure do sound familiar to what's going on in some areas now. And, who was it? Ron Hubbard used to write all those sci-fi books.
Yeah, Ron Hubbard, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of his stuff.
That's weird. Ron Hubbard. I was actually joined Scientology 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, life is fun, right?
Life is fun, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping that God is going to give me another 20 years or so to spread all this out. He keeps telling me.
You won't be going anywhere. All these spiritual children are put here for a reason. We're all awakened again. We all had my experience. It's probably not the same as yours. We all had near-death experiences, but a lot of the time we can't remember, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I only have two that I actually remember, but my patients tell me so many stories about when they get close to transitioning. They just tell me the most lovely stories about what they see and what they've been doing, because they kind of have one foot in, one foot out. And they just tell the most lovely stories about what they see on the other side and what's going on and how they feel. It's just beautiful. Beautiful. I'm so lucky.
It's like when I was in I won't mention the series, there was one of my neighbours. He was as nutty as a fruitcake. He used to drive with no insurance, no tax, and the van was a banger. He used to get a lift with him. And he was driving down the road, and he literally hit the side of the road, a wall on the side of the road, and all I could feel was the car being lifted off the side of the road and put back onto the side of the road. Is go, and he woke up and goes, "What happened?" I said, "You nearly killed me." And that was one of the most weirdest experiences, and it happened 3 times. I still got into the fucking van with him every time, and it still happened.
You're kind of slow, Pete.
I was then, yeah. Hopped on them when he crashed the van. We were coming out of Ashford Studios, and his tire burst, and the bus was coming in, and he went without me, and I thank the universe for that. And literally his tire burst, and he went. He rolled across the road, and the boy said, told him not to drive the van, but he didn't care, you know. He went nuts, put on the spare tire, and took off like a bat out of hell. I never went with him after that day.
Good for you. Oh, the stories.
I always travelled on the bus.
Well, I think we're going to end the show since nobody wants to come up and I invited people.
That's no problem.
Well, it's been
Beautiful show.
And I am free of my headache.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I can go search out my dragon. I haven't done that yet.
I'm sure you'll get a hold of him.
It's a her.
Her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I'm sure you will.
I hope so.
All right.
Hope you get better, sugar. Are you there, Hopi? I think she is.
And they're probably all gone into the group chat.
Well, I'm going to go see if I can find Nightbird. Thank you all. I've enjoyed every one of you.
It was a beautiful night, beautiful show.
Thank you for coming. I wish we would have done the goal a little bit better, but, you know, it is what it is. Glad I helped you all today. I hope I inspired everybody. And I hope we inspired you up here and down there. Missing a few hosts, but, you know, it is what it is. Probably a slow day. Everyone's probably busy with their lives.
It's been kind of a sleepy weekend.
Yeah. Everybody's running off doing their thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's been great. Anook's show will be tomorrow at 8 o'clock.
All right.
Hosts. And 6. I wish Trina would come up so she knows. I can't remember.
She's in the chat somewhere.
I invited her, but I think she's busy doing something.
Yeah, I think it's 6.
This would be her part, you know. Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna post a video, so watch your mail.
I'll probably be a little bit late. There's a live that I mod for that comes on about an hour, a couple hours prior to that. So we'll see how that goes, but I'll be there.
6 Pacific time and 9 Eastern time.
Okay.
Hope to see you all there. It's great having you. Have a good night.
All right. Love you guys.
Love you all too.